Stop right there and do not scroll away. Do not let your mind wander for even a fraction of a second. You did not find this transmission by accident. The algorithm did not randomly push this frequency to your feed. This message has violently intercepted your timeline for a reason. You are carrying a massive, suffocating truth inside your chest. It is an entirely unspoken truth you have buried deep. You have never been able to fully explain it to anyone. Not to your family, not to your friends, not to strangers, not even to the reflection staring back at you in the mirror. You have survived catastrophic events and unbelievably dark seasons, logically and mathematically. These events should have destroyed you. Historically and physically, you should have been completely erased. You have brushed past the absolute freezing edge of death. Not just once, not just twice, but multiple distinct times. According to the predictable rules of normal human existence, your timeline was scheduled to permanently terminate years ago. The sequence of your life was supposed to completely end. The screen was supposed to go black a long time ago, but an undeniable cosmic override was initiated on your behalf. Today, I am pulling back the heavy apocalyptic veil. I am going to show you the exact architecture of your survival. I need you to access a specific memory right now. Reach deep into the hidden, locked archives of your mind. Pull up the memory you usually try to suppress and ignore, the one that entirely defies human logic, reason, and science. Have you ever walked away from a highly catastrophic moment? Did you realize with chilling certainty you should not be breathing? Have you ever felt a terrifying shift in the physical atmosphere? A moment where reality itself seemed to completely and violently glitch. Where time paused and an invisible barrier protected your body. It absorbed a lethal, devastating blow meant entirely for you. Perhaps it was a violent situation that suddenly dissolved into nothing. Perhaps an aggressive illness miraculously and completely reversed its course, just as the medical professionals were running out of answers. Or perhaps it was the pitch-black darkness of your own mind, a mental collapse so profound, so heavy, and so devastating. You stood on the absolute edge of the psychological abyss. You looked down into the void and prepared to surrender. If you have felt the undeniable friction of this survival, if you felt the reaper brush past your neck in the dark, and yet you are still sitting here breathing today, you must listen to this message with every fiber of your being. You are not an ordinary person experiencing bizarre, random luck. You are not a statistical anomaly that beat the odds. You are a chosen one. What I reveal will completely dismantle your previous understanding. It will reconstruct the hidden meaning of your intense isolation. It will reveal your ultimate world-shifting purpose on this earth. You have been feeling it intensely lately, haven't you? A heavy realization that this world is a hollow, decaying script, a manufactured artificial system that you simply do not belong to. You look at the world and it feels incredibly apocalyptic right now. Heavy with a thick tension that ordinary people are completely blind to. You have noticed the violent, massive separation happening around you. The asleep masses are sinking deeper into a hypnotic digital slumber. They blindly follow the false narratives they are spoon-fed daily, while you are being violently and aggressively shaken, awake by the universe. Your miraculous survival is absolutely not a coincidence. It is a highly classified, heavily guarded spiritual mandate. The dark architecture of this world feeds entirely on unawareness. It tried to extract you from this earthly timeline early. It scanned your spiritual blueprint before you were even born. It panicked at the sheer magnitude of what you are engineered to become. But the highest divine source stepped in and interfered. It issued an absolute reality-bending cosmic veto on your life. Your survival was not just a fleeting moment of divine mercy. It was a calculated, aggressive military strategy by the unseen realm, executed flawlessly by the highest authorities of the divine order. Your destruction was delayed for a massive, earth-shattering reason. Your destiny is tethered to monumental shifts happening right now. Shifts that are about to completely unfold in this decaying world. The timing of your life and your awakening had to be flawless. We are now at the exact, terrifying precipice of your true awakening. Your soul's ancient memory is permanently overriding your mind's amnesia. Let us define what divine protection actually means for you. The world has watered this concept down into a comforting fairy tale. It is not a soft guardian angel making you smile today. It is not random chance or a lucky stroke of absolute coincidence. It is a highly sophisticated, militarized, and aggressive spiritual covering, placed over a powerful soul that carries a violently disruptive assignment. Your destiny is specifically designed to challenge the reigning darkness. You are meant to fundamentally alter the Earth-space frequency. This immediately makes you a massive, glowing target on the radar, but you also become the heavily guarded property of the divine realm. You were not sent into this hostile environment completely unequipped. The universe placed a blazing, impenetrable firewall around your essence. Death has stalked your footsteps and set elaborate traps for years, but the enemy was denied access to your soul every single time. Your heavily guarded timeline did not allow for your premature exit. Complex, ancient spiritual codes within you must be fully activated. Deeply broken people depend entirely on the frequency of your voice. Divine protection is the screaming intuition in the pit of your gut. It forces you to suddenly leave a room when things look perfectly normal. It is the irritating, random delay that keeps you off the highway, right before a massive, fatal collision occurs exactly in your path. You are still alive because heaven is heavily invested in your existence. When heaven invests, it fiercely and ruthlessly protects its assets. Let us decode the very first massive escape of your life. The preemptive spiritual strike against your existence on this earth. You probably do not consciously remember this very first attack. You were likely a small child, an infant, or still in the womb, entirely unaware of the catastrophic unseen warfare raging over you. But your life was under heavy, concentrated fire from the beginning, long before you ever comprehended or heard the term Chosen One. Your specific upload into this physical dimension caused a massive disturbance. The enemy does not play fair, and it absolutely does not wait. It strikes early for maximum devastation while you are defenseless. It sent severe complications and bizarre, unexplainable childhood sicknesses. It sent deep, systemic developmental trauma directly into your home. You were born into a highly chaotic, high-contrast emotional environment, surrounded by generational dysfunction, narcissism, and absolute emotional bankruptcy. Society and therapists told you this was just the random tragedy of life. They were entirely wrong. It was a highly calculated, precise spiritual assassination attempt. Dark forces saw the blinding, intense light of your future authority. They tried to permanently abort your mission before it ever started, before you could ever find your voice, your truth, or your strength. But divine protection always moves at the absolute speed of light. The system sent pure chaos, but heaven sent a titanium barrier. You survived that early attack, but it left a permanent mark. It activated something profound, wild, and incredibly ancient inside you. It cracked your perception wide open on a permanent basis, altering your neurobiology and your sensitive spiritual receptors forever. That is exactly why you became the hyper-vigilant, quiet child. You felt the crushing weight of other people's deeply unspoken emotions. You saw the toxic undercurrents that everyone else desperately ignored. You understood the devastating, complex mechanics of human suffering early, before you even knew how to multiply numbers or tie your shoes. You survived the initial eradication protocol launched against you. You developed the heavy, alienating friction of absolute incompatibility. You realized your internal operating system was entirely different from theirs. You felt like an alien observing a deeply flawed, destructive species. You craved absolute truth and profound, authentic spiritual connection, while everyone around you was perfectly satisfied with comfortable, shallow lies. This friction was deeply painful and completely, utterly alienating, but it was the first proof you were never meant to blend in. You were specifically engineered to disrupt this entire artificial matrix. Now we must explore the reality of the generational curse breaker. This is an assignment that only the strongest souls are given. You were placed directly into a bloodline heavily infected with trauma. You were inserted into a family tree filled with unhealed wounds. Your ancestors carried massive pain, addiction, fear, and silent compliance. They passed this heavy, suffocating baton down from generation to generation. The dark architecture expected you to simply take the baton and run. It expected you to repeat the exact same highly toxic cycles. But you are the anomaly in your entire genetic lineage. You are the designated circuit breaker for your entire bloodline. You absorbed the pain of your family, but you refuse to transmit it. You looked at the dysfunction and boldly declared that it ends with you. This is why you have always felt like the black sheep. This is why your family often misunderstands you, isolates you, or attacks you. Your very high-frequency presence violently disrupts their low-frequency comfort zones. You are shining a blinding light on the shadows they refuse to heal. Breaking generational curses requires an incomprehensible amount of spiritual energy. You are fighting battles in the unseen realm for people who lived centuries ago. You are clearing the karmic debt of your entire genetic history. The enemy recognized your assignment to clean the bloodline completely. This is why the resistance against your life has been incredibly severe. They want to stop the one person who can free the entire lineage. But heaven gave you the exact psychological fortitude required for this war. You are absorbing the ancestral trauma and transmuting it into absolute power. You are the reset button for your entire genetic code. Then came the second, highly insidious and dangerous escape. The internal sabotage and the relentless, suffocating mental siege. The dark architecture realized it could not kill you physically or genetically. The divine firewall was simply too strong and thick to penetrate. So the unseen enemy completely changed its aggressive tactics against you. It launched a covert, deeply psychological, and emotionally exhausting siege. It decided to try and get you to orchestrate your own destruction. It wrapped your mind in a suffocating blanket of heavy despair. It crushed your spirit with profound isolation and paralyzing, endless anxiety. It planted deep, highly toxic seeds of self-hatred and imposter syndrome. You smiled on the outside and you functioned in everyday society. But inside, a massive, silent void was threatening to swallow you whole. You were exhausted with a spiritual fatigue that sleep could never cure. You were trapped in repetitive, highly toxic, and draining relational cycles. This brings us to the terrifying reality of the energy vampire matrix, because you radiate an incredibly high frequency of pure, blinding light. You inexplicably attract people who live in absolute spiritual darkness. You attract the covert narcissists, the manipulators, and the empty vessels. These are people who completely lack their own internal spiritual light. They unconsciously recognize your massive power and seek to attach themselves. They do not want to love you. They want to consume you. They want to siphon your blinding light to warm their own dark souls. They drain your physical energy, your finances, your time, and your empathy. The system intentionally places these parasitic entities in your direct path. It is a highly coordinated attempt to keep your frequency completely grounded. If you are constantly healing broken people who refuse to change, you will never have the massive energy required to fulfill your true destiny. The system fed you an agonizing, relentless loop of deep unworthiness. It tried to convince you that your intense perception was a fatal flaw. It tried to gaslight you into believing you were crazy or dramatic. This was an aggressive attempt to make you voluntarily surrender your light. Many beautiful, powerful souls enter that dark night and simply surrender. They accept the comfortable numbness and conform completely to the matrix. But you absolutely did not surrender to the suffocating darkness. Even when you were literally crawling on the floor of your own mind, even when your spirit felt completely shattered into a million jagged pieces, a fierce, unbreakable thread of holy defiance pulled you violently upward. Your mental collapse ultimately failed to destroy your existence. Your spiritual purpose possesses a cosmic, undeniable gravitational pull. It is infinitely stronger than your deepest, most paralyzing trauma. You did not just survive. You completely weaponized your pain. You emerged from the darkness with an unbreakable psychological fortitude. You built an impenetrable fortress in your mind out of their bricks. You survived the internal war and developed the massive awareness gap. The distance between your perception and theirs is now a gaping chasm. You can walk into any room and instantly read the shifting energy. You see the dark, hidden agendas behind the painted-on, fake smiles. You sense the subtle manipulations before a single word is ever spoken. You are a lethal, unstoppable threat to their carefully constructed illusions. You can no longer be manipulated, gaslit, controlled, or lied to. Your boundaries have become incredibly rigid and absolutely impenetrable. You see through the matrix of fake relationships and hollow societal structures. And finally, we must confront the third massive, undeniable escape, the kinetic, physical, and absolute terminal override of your existence. The threat materialized directly, in front of your own physical eyes. This was flesh, bone, adrenaline, and the raw laws of physics. A sudden car crash that completely defied the laws of forward momentum. A sudden, terrifying medical crisis where the life monitors were failing. A violent, chaotic situation where a physical weapon miraculously jammed. The absolute laws of nature dictated you should have died right there. Witnesses, paramedics, and doctors told you that you were the luckiest person alive. They shook their heads because the physical math did not make sense. But luck is a mathematical illusion for the deeply asleep masses. Your survival was an aggressive, intentional act of cosmic terminal override. Time literally paused and the entire physical matrix completely froze. You were pulled violently back from the absolute freezing brink. The universe looked at your unfulfilled, massive spiritual contract. It looked at the dark entity trying to illegally collect your soul. And the universe simply said, "Not today, this one belongs to me." This terrifying, intimate escape leaves a permanent residue on your aura. It alters your electromagnetic field in a highly noticeable, dramatic way. It is exactly why complete strangers stare at you in public places. It is why you carry an incredibly heavy, sometimes intimidating energy. Superficial, low-vibration people are deeply uncomfortable in your physical presence. They feel the heavy, undeniable weight of your impossible survival. You have danced intimately with the dark angel of death itself. Death was forced to respectfully bow its head and completely retreat. You carry the exact frequency of someone who simply cannot be killed. You are walking, breathing proof of a much higher jurisdiction. These 3 delays happened for one massive, overriding, and absolute reason. Your cosmic, earthly purpose entirely outranked your temporary earthly pain. Every escape, every tear, was a brilliant strategy written into the stars. The early attack failed because your original blueprint was incredibly vital. The mental collapse was defeated by your ancient, deeply hidden inner resilience. The physical threat was neutralized for your massive future healing work. Your soul signed a heavy, binding contract in the unseen spiritual realm. You agreed to carry blinding, high-contrast light into an apocalyptic world. You are completely, physically untouchable until the mission is entirely fulfilled. Let this ultimate truth rewrite your very DNA right here and now. Your severe, compounding trauma absolutely does not define your identity. It completely refined you in the most brutal, unforgiving fires imaginable. Your massive purpose was forged in the blistering fire of ultimate survival. These terrifying near-death escapes unlocked a permanent biological and spiritual upgrade. They violently broke the thick illusion of the physical matrix for you. They tore the veil and allowed your ancient spirit to peek through. Surviving opened the heavy gate to ancient, dormant spiritual gifts. Your intuition sharpened from a quiet whisper into a razor-sharp weapon. You instantly read the unspoken, hidden vibrations of any room you enter. You see through absolute lies without expending a single ounce of effort. You experience profound, terrifying synchronicities and highly cinematic prophetic dreams. Your base frequency was violently and permanently upgraded by the divine. You can no longer tolerate low vibration, stagnant, or toxic environments. Petty, toxic gossip literally makes your physical body feel deeply ill. Energy vampires are automatically and violently repelled by your new boundaries. You have become a completely different, highly ascended, unrecognizable entity. This brings us to the profound illusion and agony of time. You are walking in the frustrating reality of a heavily delayed destiny. You see average people effortlessly achieving completely hollow societal milestones. You watch them get accolades, promotions, and easy, shallow relationships, while you feel completely trapped in an invisible, suffocating waiting room. You feel a holy, burning frustration deep in your stomach every day. You know exactly how incredibly powerful and capable you truly are, but your external physical reality has not caught up to your internal potential. You feel like you are running a race with iron weights attached. Listen to me and let this rewrite your understanding of reality. Your heavy delay is absolutely not a denial or a cosmic punishment. It is the ultimate, highest form of absolute, uncompromising divine protection. If you had received massive success before your discernment was forged, if you were given the platform before your ego was completely crushed, the highly corrupt system would have completely and utterly destroyed you. You would have been successfully co-opted by the dark architecture. The money, the fame, or the wrong relationships would have ruined you. You were deliberately and intentionally hidden in the deep, quiet shadows. You were forced to heal in brutal, deafening, and absolute isolation. This is what I call the ultimate, highly classified isolation advantage. Others built fragile, temporary houses on the shifting sand of public approval. You were forced into the harsh wilderness to build a stone fortress. You were intentionally kept out of the wrong rooms and wrong circles. This was to protect your highly sensitive frequency from being compromised. You experienced endless, frustrating cycles until you finally learned the lesson. Doors violently closed in your face to keep you off the wrong timelines. People suddenly walked away from you to clear your energetic field completely. You are not behind in life, and you are absolutely not failing. You are on a highly classified, heavily guarded, and entirely different timeline. The universe was simply busy clearing the massive stage for your arrival. You must completely understand how to aggressively protect yourself right now. You can no longer afford to move through this dark world unconsciously. Your internal light is entirely too bright for the unseen spiritual realm. You are a massive beacon in the dark, and bugs love the light. Spiritual protection is not about hiding in a corner in absolute fear. It is about radical, uncompromising, aggressive, and highly intentional energetic alignment. You must honor your energy above all other things in your life. Protect your mental peace as if it is sacred, highly hallowed ground. Become violently and unapologetically selective about who accesses your physical presence. Just because someone shares your exact bloodline means absolutely nothing now, if they constantly cost you your peace. They are far too expensive. Engage in unrelenting, highly aggressive daily spiritual discipline and mental guarding. Guard your mind aggressively against the fear-based programming of the mainstream media. Speak with absolute, unwavering, and terrifying authority over your own life. The spiritual realm responds instantly to your fully awakened, authoritative voice. Look deeply at exactly who you have become after all this chaos. Look closely at the incredibly resilient person staring back at you. You are a chosen vessel, completely broken open and entirely remade. You no longer chase the hollow, empty validations of a profoundly sick society. You are not impressed by wealth, status, designer labels, or superficial aesthetics. You are moved only by raw authenticity, profound loyalty, and deep frequency. You carry a quiet, terrifying, and absolute boldness in your chest. You have already faced and successfully defeated what the world is running from. You know what it feels like to almost lose absolutely everything. This realization has made you incredibly, undeniably, and absolutely fearless. You are a blazing lighthouse in an incredibly dark, chaotic, apocalyptic environment. When normal, unawakened people look at you, they feel highly uncomfortable, because your absolute truth forces them to confront their own unhealed wounds. If a lingering, stubborn part of your ego is still highly confused, if you whisper in the dark that you are just overthinking things, if you think maybe your life is just a series of random accidents, I need to completely and permanently silence that doubt for you right now. You did not imagine a single second of this intense spiritual warfare. The threats on your life were incredibly, terrifyingly, and undeniably real. The invisible, miraculous interventions saving you were absolute, undeniable reality. Your painful journey has been perfectly divinely orchestrated from the very beginning. Your massive destiny was delayed to build your ultimate, unbreakable strength. But your massive destiny will never, ever be denied by the universe. The painful period of agonizing isolation is permanently ending right now. The massive, exponential, and highly disruptive acceleration is beginning today. The time for hiding in the shadows is completely and permanently over. If this exact transmission just unlocked the heavy truth inside your chest, if this frequency resonates with the deepest marrow in your physical bones, you need to aggressively lock into this channel right now. Subscribe immediately to permanently anchor your soul to this awakened timeline. Ensure you never miss the highly classified blueprints meant for your survival. Hit the like button to send a physical, undeniable signal to the unseen realm. Show the spiritual architecture that you completely accept your massive earthly assignment. Share this specific, highly targeted transmission right now with someone you know. Someone who has also miraculously survived the completely unsurvivable. They are sitting alone in the dark, deeply doubting their own sanity. They are desperately waiting for this exact, undeniable, and absolute confirmation. You survived the completely impossible. Now it is time to stop playing small to make others comfortable. Take your rightful throne and completely, violently, and permanently wake up.